Like, this just shows like how much it's on my mind. I mean, this is what was it, July something? I truly think the hardest thing with big mule deer hunting is mentality. Like, those who accept mediocrity always lose. Like, why would I accept that? Like, we're all so capable of anything we put our mind to. Like, I refuse to accept mediocrity anymore.
You are listening to the Run the Rack Outdoors podcast, where we take an all-in, leave no doubt approach to all things adventure hunting. From the big woods to the high country. How about that? Let's learn together as we discuss with our expert guests on what it takes to be successful in the backcountry. I'm your host, Weston Homa. Let's get into it. All right, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Run the Rack Outdoors podcast. This week, I go on Braxton Hamilton. So, been following this guy for a good bit now, and if you haven't heard of this guy, or you're into hunting mule deer or hunting the West and you're not following him, you got to go check him out, because Braxton kills some big mule deer. And we get all into talking about mule deer. I had a couple mule deer hunts this year. I tagged out on a couple 4 points, not the caliber deer that Braxton goes after, but I was happy with them. And I wrote down like a lot of lessons learned that I took from those hunts, and then I kind of bounced them off Braxton, who has a lot more experience and stuff than I do. And then we got into, the difference between deer hunting and then hunting big mule deer. And then I tell you what, if you guys are listening right now, you got to stick around for the last like 20 to 30 minutes, because Braxton just has this winning killer mindset that I just loved dissecting with him. So we get all into like just having the right attitude, and I just could talk all day with Braxton about, just what it takes to get on big deer and to win and to just be your best self. And I think it was a great conversation all around, but these last 20 to 30 minutes, I think it can be very motivating for guys, and definitely just check that out at the very least if you're going to check out this episode. So yeah, that's the episode this week with Braxton. Thanks for tuning in. Really enjoyed this one. Some other things going on here. I'm just recording this like right after I got off with him here. So weekend coming up, I got a bear tag still. I'm going to tote the rifle around with that, but I think I might go help guys with their deer and elk tags too. I'm not too worried about the bear, but I mean, we'll see. It would be awesome, though, to help some buddies here tag out as well. I think that's pretty much it. Just been loving it here in the new spot here in Idaho. I just feel like, doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and it feels really good. So I don't think I have anything else to share. Let's have another great week, everybody. Let's leave no doubt. Let's work as hard as we can, and let's run the rack. All right, everybody. See ya. Go Hunt has a single purpose: make it easier for hunters to get into the field. Hunting tags are only getting harder to obtain, and Go Hunt is a research platform helping navigate the ins and outs of drawing tags and researching hunts across the West. I've had a Go Hunt membership for years now, and I'm a big fan of the articles written on there by Brady and Trail. The content is next level stuff that has helped me a ton. From animal behavior to archery, they are sharing all the nuggets. I also love the hunt films on YouTube. They are extremely inspirational, and they'll make you want to get out in the mountains ASAP. Check out the Go Hunt Gear Shop, where they have everything you need for this coming hunting season. Use the code RACK, that's R-A-C-K, for 10% off eligible items in the shop. And you can use the code RACK for $50 in-shop credit when you join as an insider. So sign up for a membership and immediately get $50 back toward hunting gear. Check it out. You won't regret it. Braxton puts down some really big mule deer, and I'm stoked to get him on because I've been just all over mule deer like this fall, and I think we're gonna get into some good dialogue back and forth about mule deer and whatever else we go down. So Braxton, thanks for hopping on, man.
Sounds great, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So you're
Appreciate
in Wyoming, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm in Western Wyoming. I live in Pineville.
Okay, gotcha. So we'll just kind of dive into it. If you want to give yourself like a little bit of an intro. I know you said you're from Wyoming, but kind of where you're from, when you kind of started hunting and all that good stuff.
Yeah, so originally I'm from Evanston, Wyoming, which is the southwest corner, and big time mule deer area. just grew up hunting. We were mainly an elk family, but back then, I mean, they used to give us a couple days off of school for the opener of deer season, and they called it deer release or hunting release or something. And so, I mean, we hunted deer, but we were kind of like everybody else in town, would cruise to the outskirts of town and drive around or hike a couple draws type thing. I didn't really get big into deer until I was older, but we elk hunted some of the best deer country in the world, and constantly seeing giant bucks. And at a young age, I realized that like they're really hard to kill. you know, uh, we started hunting some of these areas, and nobody I knew had killed one. And so I'm like, well, how come we see these things all the time, but we don't know anybody that's killed one, a big deer. So I guess it kind of became an infection in my mind that that's what I wanted to do. And elk are cool. I still love hunting elk. Just got back from a trip with my boys. We killed some cows and had a blast, and saw some migrating mule deer, which was fun. But yeah, no, mule deer's just been the gray ghost, man. It's just been so much fun growing up here and watching giant deer, and then just, of course, like having it in your mind of like, well, I want to get one of those, and everybody wants that. But then being able to grow up here and get older and raise a family and really learn how to find them and actually kill them is a whole different story. And that's kind of just been the path of my life. And there's definitely guys out there that are killing bigger deer in multiple states and things like that. But for me, like, just to really hone in on a specific style and a specific area and do my best to, I don't know if perfect it's the right word, but perfect me while pursuing that is what's been really fun for me.
I love it. Dude, you got to give yourself credit. I don't know many guys killing much bigger deer than the few I see on your page. Do you want to, like, just for people listening that haven't followed you, the few deer you got, even pinned at the top of your page and over the last few years, can you put numbers to them? Some of them?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Just for context.
So my biggest buck is 217 and some change. Killed him with my bow in 2018. I think I have 3 200-inch deer now. Okay. 2 of them are right at that mark, and then the 217. And then I actually just killed my first 180 buck. He went 185 this year, and then the rest of them are in the 190s. So I mean, they're awesome deer. I mean, you see and it's awesome. This is what I love about deer hunting so much, is like they're all so different. Even this year, we're seeing on social media these guys that are pulling out 220s, 230s, and even a couple 240s. And like, that's the ultimate goal for me, like, just to know that they're still out there. Yes, a 180 buck is a giant. A 190 buck is a giant. But yeah, for me, like, that's what I'm looking for, is like just the next level deer. And I'll be the first one to admit, I mean, I preach it really loud, like, you can't kill a big deer if you're shooting little deer. But I've also learned I'm not going to let some of these great deer pass. So yeah, I've been fortunate, man, for sure. I think I've got 7 really good bucks.
Yeah, that's just so impressive, especially as somebody that's now grown up from back east, coming out west the last few years. A lot of guys from back east, elk is like the big sexy thing because we have deer, we have whitetails, and a lot of people want to go out and kill an elk. But I find myself, I mean, I don't know. I don't know anything. But the more I watch mule deer and get around mule deer and hunt mule deer, and I have not laid anything down close to those numbers, but there's such a mystique about mule deer that's really hard to explain. I don't know your thoughts on this, and I don't know if this is a great comparison. I never said this out loud on the podcast, but when I was elk hunting with my buddy at the end of September up here in Idaho, I had just got done chasing mule deer in Colorado too, and I arrowed a buck down there, and we're chasing after elk and everything, and he was asking me questions because he's never hunted mule deer. Like, what's it like? Like, what's the difference? And I was like, I don't know, man. I feel like when you're chasing elk, it seems like you're chasing like a spoiled brat child that just like screaming, and you're just trying to figure out like, what do you want? Like, calm down. Like, this is so stressful or whatever. But then like when you're going and hunting mule deer, it's like you're going after like an ex-girlfriend that keeps like you shouldn't talk to anymore, but like she keeps calling you and like will just keep breaking your heart, but you can't help but like go back and
It's a
find
dirty
them.
dance, man.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I agree. Like, you're gonna get me to say some stuff that's gonna get me in trouble with people.
Okay.
Like, yeah, I've always said like elk are just like the big, dumb, loud, stinky creatures in the woods. I feel like in a good unit, if a guy spent as much time as I do on mule deer on elk, I feel like it'd be a whole lot easier to pile those big bulls up than to pile up a bunch of big deer. And some of that may or may not be true. Obviously I spend most of the time on deer. But
I think that's true across the board, because you look at a guy like yourself and, I don't know, Robbie Denning, some of the other guys, and then, there's so many guys not on social media or anything that kill mega deer. How much time they put into it and how passionate they are. You don't see that as much like in the elk world, I feel like. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely some killers out there for sure, that are pretty much just elk. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's a completely different ball game. Like, it really is. I mean, I think you could take an elk hunter and teach him to be a good mule deer hunter. I mean, a good hunter is just to be a good, well-rounded hunter is important. But chasing upper class mule deer is it has to consume your life or you will not be successful. It has to. Look at those guys that you're talking about. If we're talking about the Robbie Dennings or anybody else that's popular or has done it for years and years, they're freaks. Like, they're some freaking weirdos, dude.
No,
Like,
dude,
Robbie is a weirdo.
Yeah.
Like, dude, we
He'd probably
have to
agree.
be.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, for sure. Yeah, no, I'm really good friends with Robbie, so he would agree with me.
He did my podcast too. Just a great guy.
Yeah,
I was
that.
listening to an episode he did recently, and this is like my point between guys that are obsessed with mule deer and guys that are obsessed with elk. Robbie was like sharing facts that like he came up with himself like over the years. Like, he keeps a diary and a journal, and he had numbers of like how many bucks to shooter bucks he saw over the years and had ratios and was talking all about it. And my point is, like, nobody's doing that with elk. Like, those are big mule deer guys. Like, they're something's going on up there. Yeah, they're doing that.
And there has to be, man. Like, I think about it all the time. Like, I'm a pretty weird dude too. Like if you're not trying to figure that stuff out, you're you can find success, but like the guys that are trying to like do some weird, crazy things like what you just explained with Robbie, like there's some truth to that, dude. Like, yeah, you kind of got to dig in deep. It's not just being a good hunter, for sure.
So,
and that's what makes it fun.
Oh no, absolutely. I'm not dogging any of them. I'm listening to that, like, guys talk like that, and I'm like, I get it. Like, yeah. And just for people listening,
not crazy in tune with the elk world. I'm sure there's some dudes that maybe do that, but elk are so different too, because like we're hunting them most of the time during the rut, and they travel like insane, and I think it'd be a little harder to do, come up with some of those statistics and things like that, like we do with mule deer. So maybe that's a part of it. We'll play a little devil's advocate, I suppose. But I think in the end, I think you're right. I think you're onto something.
But
mule deer here, elk are here.
Yeah, okay. I've seen what is it, Peaks Equipment? They're coming out with those shirts that say either elk over mule deer or mule deer over elk.
Yeah, I need one of those.
I know which one you get for sure, but I don't know. I can't. I haven't been.
Choose a side.
Do I have to? They didn't ask me that when I got my apartment lease. Okay. Yeah. Now I'm in Idaho. I need to get a new license plate, and then I have to get a Peaks shirt. that says elk or mule deer. So, okay. Those are 2 more things I have to do. After I finish setting up my living room, which I still haven't done. I've spent more time hunting since I've been here than doing anything with my apartment.
Hey, that's what you came here for, though.
Exactly. Anyway, so want to get a little bit more into it, specific things, specific tactics and things like that. And for people listening, because I get messages from people like from back east that's never hunted the West before, other guys that have had some experience. My thought is I think there's still like so much great opportunities for mule deer in Western states. Point creep's a real thing for all species and everything, but I just really like talking to guys like Braxton to get people fired up if they want to come out and give it a try. And so I spent time in Colorado this year. I arrowed a 4-point buck in the high country early September. And then just this past weekend, I was out toting my rifle and went up to the high country and rifled another 4-point buck. And so I spent a good time watching mule deer this year. And what I like to do in a lot of these hunts is write down some things that like lessons learned that I come back to. And I like to do this like with gear too, like things I need to like fix or, get better, or like, like broke trekking pole, like need to fix this, like things like that. So I wrote down some things for mule deer and I just kind of want to bounce them off you. One little lesson learned I had here, and we don't have to go through all these.
Let's see if any of them stick.
Yeah, for sure. I know you bow hunt, you rifle hunt, like you do it all, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so specifically for stalking on an archery hunt, and I wrote this down because I blew a few stalks before I arrowed my buck. The biggest thing I kept learning before a stalk was, like you got to really take your time looking at everything on the landscape before you make that stalk. Because I was so surprised, and my hunting partner had more experience than I did, and we would kind of draw out a stalk, and he'd be like, and I'd be like, okay, like maybe, go up that way, get above him and everything. And more often than not, my hunting partner would be like, no, like there's a fold there. There's a fold, like, and it was hard to see like on a face. And so it was just constantly be mindful of not just what like you can see in planning your stalk, but you also got to think about like what the buck sees. Because specifically the buck that I arrowed, he was actually like in this draw a little bit, and it kind of allowed me to take a whole easier route to him to go on a stalk. But long and the short point is, preparing for a stalk, what are some good nuggets you've learned kind of over the years about how you kind of draw it up before you go in?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Specifically to that, like if I've got a buck in an area that I think's killable, I want my fastest way to him, but at the same time, I can't be lazy and screw it up. So I'm looking for both of those things. I'm going to be looking for what's the quickest way I can get to him in a killable spot, but also I can't just go straight to him. So I'm looking for those folds in the mountain, maybe a group of trees or rocks or something that I can use to hide myself to where he can't see me. So that's all, obviously that's important. But I think the biggest thing people screw up on is kind of what you said, like, okay, well, I'll just get up here and then I'll drop it. Well, unfortunately, sometimes maybe you're going to have to go all the way around this mountain, and that is the quickest way, to do it right. And then beyond that, when I go into an archery stock, time of day is huge. And I think I heard you and Robbie talking about like first bed, second bed, some of those questions. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I'm huge on second or third bed. Like first bed's almost a never go. I'm trying to think of a story, actually. I killed a buck, and I've told this story before. I didn't recover him for 9 days, but he was in like the best archery stockable spot ever that this mountain landscape would give me. And it was his first bed. And I was like, dude, I'm going. And I didn't even make it 80 yards before my hunting partner whistled at me and was like, come on back, man. That's not going to work. And, he's right. Like, yeah, no, that's not going to work. by the time I'd get to the bottom of the draw and then get over around these rocks and drop in, he's probably going to be on his feet again, moving to his second bed. So mountain mule deer, that's huge. Typically, you're going to have a buck that's going to bed, whether it's at daylight or after they're done feeding. You're just not going to have time to get to them on their first bed. But more importantly than the time, it's going to be the thermals and the wind direction. So that's going to be your number one thing to think about. In all of this stuff I'm explaining, it's going to be thermals. So for me, I'm trying to wait for that second and third bed, no matter how good of a play it is, because of the thermals. So I'm wanting the mountain to heat up a little bit. And so I know, and even on that second bed, I'm pretty leery. Like, man, because sometimes you're getting thermals in your face and then they'll settle for a second. And then you'll get thermals in your face. And for most of the stock, that's fine. But if you have to sit on a buck for 2 hours, you're hosed. So I'm usually waiting for a third bed.
So love that you brought that up, because so the buck I shot, and again, this is not a 190-inch deer. Might be a whole different game for all I know. This was a 4-point, maybe 3 years old. But I saw him 2 days in a row, and he was kind of on the same face both days. The first day, we saw him bed down in his first bed and got up in like an hour. And it was like, yeah, totally not. Long story short, he got up to his second bed. Me and my hunting partner actually both went up that direction, and we couldn't get back on him. Long story there. But the next day, same glassing spot. We saw the buck again up in that area, bedded down for the first time near his first bed the day before. And I don't know what our rationale was about going. I can't remember now thinking back, because my first instinct would have been like, oh, we got to wait. But I think what happened was I got really lucky because I did start the stock. And I love that you brought this up because, okay, I did kill him in his first bed. I did go on the stock in his first bed, but I got really lucky because it immediately turned, like the sun was coming out, but when I got over there, it turned into overcast and it actually got a little cold, and the wind was either down or swirling, throughout the whole time. And I kind of offsetted myself and then sat on him for like 4 hours or whatever till he got up and I arrowed him. But
Nice.
I think that's how I got lucky though with the first bed stock, because it wasn't consistent rising thermals, sun beating on him where he wanted to get up and move again. I think I just got really lucky. Does that sound like maybe something?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, and that just goes to prove like it can definitely happen the first bed. Like everything I'm saying here is not concrete, but to raise my odds of things going well, those are the things I look for. And yeah, you're probably right. That's probably it. Thermals change when clouds come over for sure. Yeah.
Because more often than not, we saw a deer, again, the 80-20, bed down for a short amount of time in their first bed. And you would have been way better off the second bed, just waiting. It's just, I don't know. It's tough. I don't remember what our rationale was, but I like rolled the dice and went up on that stock and lucked out a little bit. But it was.
You were talking about some guys taking like funny notes, and something I will do is like, even while I'm scouting in the summertime, I'll write down like, okay, first bed, 8 a.m., fed 50 yards, second bed, 10:30 or whatever it is. I'll keep those notes, and then you'll notice you'll go to a different canyon and you take notes on another deer herd, and they're doing almost the same times. So there's a good tip for you. It's interesting.
Yeah, for sure. It's there's a lot, and that's what Robbie and I had talked about before too, like on my episode. There are a lot of good rules of thumb. Concrete rules. It's hunting. It's hard to say. We're going after a wild animal, but these generalities and noticing all those patterns and that behavior, and it's like those. Yeah, just keep a note of those little details. I think can, because also too, like I like to think about learning as much as I can on the hunt for also future hunts. You know what I mean? Like just constantly, really trying to learn the animal for the future. If that makes sense.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Yeah, that's what it's all about. It's all about experience. Yeah, you got to lay down. You got to screw up. You got to go and try, and you got to lay down all these tactics, and that's what's going to propel you into success in the future for sure.
Mm-hmm. When would you say is the best time, if we're talking about big deer now, which I have not killed big deer like Braxton Hamilton big deer yet, but when would you say is, and this might be the same answer, your favorite time and also the best time to kill a big deer? Would you say it's archery season, the rut, early October rifle? What do you think?
I think that's a good question. For the way I hunt deer, it's going to be archery season for sure. Those first couple days, because they're still in their summer patterns, and patternable deer are killable deer. I think the rut's a good way for anybody to kill a big deer, because their guard's down. You know, a big deer can be pretty stupid at that time. October is by far the hardest time to kill a big deer. Hands down. Don't even argue with me about it. Good luck.
Okay.
But it's doable.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? You had a good thing on the Rockcast too, where you mentioned you guys were talking about, you kind of argue the whole nocturnal idea, and from whatever reason, it kind of like, I was like, man, this is a good, like, I feel like I can agree, because I spent some time still hunting on that second season Colorado time frame, late October, goes in a few days into November, and turned up a good amount of bucks. And then that just got me thinking, like, I think there's a lot of truth to that people don't, because it's such an easy cop out to say these bucks are just, it's all happening at night. They're moving at night, they're feeding at night or whatever. But if you want to go into that a little bit more, what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I see it all the time. Every time somebody can't find a deer, they're like, well, he went nocturnal, man. It's nothing I can do. And it's like, well, did he? Because these deer are still deer and they have to eat. Their whole goal all summer long, the whole reason they migrate is to get fat. If they just stayed on the winter range, or whether you have migrating deer or not, if they stayed in one spot and just lived there, they're not going to build the fat reserves they need. If a big buck, becomes nocturnal, you're telling me that he is sleeping all day long, all daylight hours, not feeding, and only feeding the other 10 hours in the dark, which we also know he's not feeding 10 hours in the dark because he's got to have time to sit down and chew his cud and go through all the stages of his stomach before he can stand up and go and fill his belly again and everything else. So that drops it down even more hours. No, do they stay out of the open in the daytime? Absolutely. That's just a buck being smart and doing his thing. But is he nocturnal? I just can't buy it. And what we talked about on the Rockcast was, I see bucks all the time. First daylight, throw my binos up. And I always check the edges of timber first. Checking my edges of timber. I'll see a butt of a deer. Okay, it's a buck. Throw my spotter up. By the time I get my spotter up, he's gone in the trees. Well, most people be like, well, yeah, he's nocturnal. Well, he's probably found a spot where he can feed in the trees out of the open, and he's got cover. And he's still in there living, because then that evening, I'll find him right at dark. I'll sit there all day long. And even in the best hours of hunting, where it's getting cool and you're like, all right, cool, deer coming out. You start seeing some does, some 2 points come out, even the nice 4 points come out. And then right at dark, where you're like putting stuff in your backpack, getting ready to haul out, and you're like, let's check this one last time. And you see a deer body, but you have no idea if it's a big buck or not, and then throw your spotter on it and you see that frame again. Well, how did he come from the bottom of the timber edge all the way to this timber edge over here if he was sleeping all day and he's nocturnal?
He was sleeping all day, right?
He's moving. He's up on his feet, and that's where we got talking about some of the still hunting tactic is they are on their feet in the day. A lot of it is cover.
Yeah, because what is it that makes us think, like, when you just catch them at first light on a timber edge, well, they must have been up all night feeding, and now they're just going back to bed, and they're going to sleep all day. I don't know why that's like sometimes our first thought, but yeah, I think there's an argument to that's might not be the case. That's just what they do. They're just staying in the timber all day.
Yeah. They have the cover of darkness, and now they have the cover of trees.
Right. Which brings me to like another thought. Do you spend a lot of time and I know different times of the year are completely different, like first few days in September versus like October. But say like uh in October, for example, because maybe this is kind of like what we're talking about, maybe first and last light, timber edges. Will you spend a lot of time glassing midday then during those times to try to still catch them?
Like in October?
Yeah.
Was that
Yeah.
your question?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
the majority of my mule deer experience, because of where I live, our seasons are shortened to where we don't get a whole lot of October hunting.
Okay.
But I have an Idaho tag where it's most of October. And to be completely honest with you, I probably wouldn't be spending a whole lot of time in the middle of the day. Um, and there's a lot of factors that go into that. I'm not saying that you can't find a deer. You definitely can find a deer in the middle of the day. They're still doing all those things I just explained that a big mature mule deer needs to thrive. But a lot of that will depend on unit and where's your best energy spent. Unless you're just some freak of nature, and there's dudes out there that are. But man, October's cold. You're gonna have to be carrying a lot of gear. Like for me, it's more about, yes, what is the deer doing? Sure, I think you can catch them in the middle of the day, but it's more about what am I able to do effectively with my time and my energy, and where should I be putting that? So I don't know if that answers your question in a roundabout way, but
No, yeah. It's just it's good thought. So is a lot of time spent still hunting? Do you find yourself spending a lot of time still hunting in those situations maybe?
no, not a lot, man.
Okay.
I still think the best way to find a deer is going to be ambushing or spotting him from a distance, things like that. Still hunting is something that I'm using when I know there's a deer there, or I know it's good country and there should be deer there, and I'm kind of exhausted all my options and like, okay, here we go, let's go in there and do it. That's when still hunting, because you know, and as we did talk on again the rockcast that you brought up, Robbie and I talked about, like, still hunting's hard, and it's not something you're going to have enough energy to put towards every day, your entire week out hunting. It's you just won't be effective at it. uh so it's kind of one of those things I would suggest. Like, I get this question all the time, man. I have guys that, man, we've had this big buck found and he was so patternable, and then the hunt started and he disappeared. And I don't know where he went. Where do you think he went, Braxton? And I'm like, he's probably still there. I mean, it's possible he took off. There's definitely deer that do that. Have you walked any of that yet? Like, what are you finding for tracks? And they're like, oh, no, we're still sitting back on. Well, how long have you been sitting back watching the same stuff? Oh, the whole hunt. Okay, well, this is when it's time to go in and learn what that deer's doing, because he's bamboozling you somehow. Go find out how. That's where you're going to learn a lot about big bucks. It's not a first
I
day tactic. I'll say that.
not a first day tactic. No.
Probably not.
Okay. Gotcha. I shot a buck still hunting, and I've failed many times, but first mule deer I got 2 years ago in Colorado, again, a 4-point, but younger deer, but a 4x4, and it was still hunting through the timber. And dude, it was pretty sweet. Listening to, I've read, Robbie's books and stuff, talks about still hunting, and just how he says, like, you got to move with the rhythm of the forest. And if you're feel like you should slow down, then you got to slow down like way more. Like, even if you have that thought, like, do I need to slow down more? So that's literally what I did. It was around, I think it was Halloween. Yeah. There was a big snow that came in a couple days before, still had a bunch of snow, had tracks everywhere. I was going through the timber, and I was moving it like insanely slow, which is like hard for me to do. Like, I just sitting still and like moving slow, but that's actually what I felt like just being so in tune with not just the direction of the wind. That's not what I'm saying, but like
Everything.
being connected with the wind, the movement, the sounds, like everything. And it was pretty sweet to where I caught I saw the deer before he saw me. Like I caught something moving through the timber, and then I put my gun up, and then he came out on the other side of this tree and shot him at 50 to 60 yards, and he didn't even see me until I had the crosshairs like on him. So that was one
That's
of
awesome.
many failed still hunts. But if we want to get into that a little bit, because what's so hard about still hunting is like a lot of it's like you can't do it all the time, even if you want to. There's a lot of it that's like out of your control. The obviously wind always has to be good, but the undergrowth, like the ground, all these things. Like I there's places in Idaho where the brush is too thick, even if it's not that high, you're just too loud. Like the undergrowth, like it's too much. And I've learned like it can be effective, but there's there's factors to it. So
There's times you can do way more damage than good, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny you bring that up because just a couple weeks ago, I was talking with a friend about some of these guys that just can't seem to get it done on a big deer or whatever. They've been hunting for years, and it's like, well, they're doing most everything right. Like, what's the problem? Most of it is they're going too fast. Like, whether they're still hunting or not, like just hunting in general, you're going too fast. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, some of these units or areas that I've hunted or go into, like, yeah, you got to get your butt in there. But when you're in there, dude, I'll spend 4 days sitting in the same spot from sunup to sundown, letting the bugs crawl on me and just relaxing and watching. And that's when you really get into tune what's going on at the mountain. And it's the same with still hunting. Not just sitting there, but like just slow down, man. Like that deer, like he's not going anywhere until you push him. Like,
right,
of course
yeah.
you're not seeing anything.
If something's gonna screw up, it's gonna be because of you.
It's
Like
been because of
that's
you.
what
His
I try
environment
to tell
changed
myself.
because
Yeah,
you changed it. Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Relax, man.
Yeah, and that slow down, that patience things that can be applied to like literally in that moment. It can be applied to, dude. I had multiple times, like even in Colorado this year, glassing, where like we wanted to like just all right, morning glass, you know, been out here for a while, call it good. And then I'm like, holy shit, there's deer. Like, you know what I mean? Like, give it some more time behind the glass. Give it a, do you find yourself? Maybe it depends if you know the area or not, like how well you know it. But yeah, so you might give things multiple days, like a specific basin or area, or what's your kind of your thought to where what does it take for Braxton to be like, okay, like I'm moving. How long does it take? What do you see? What do you not see?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that will really depend on what you're seeing. Maybe I would definitely give everything a morning and an evening.
Mm-hmm.
Because deer are using the mountain differently in the morning and the evening. You'll start finding that they have cycles. And then something else that I'm really tuning into and learning lately is like you'll have multiple day cycles, which it's not a secret, right? Like usually every third deer will go and find water. Sometimes it might take a second trip back to the mountains. Like if I'm there for a day or two and I'm like, that was weird. I didn't see anything, but there should have been something here. Well, I think I caught them on the wrong cycle. Maybe they were around the mountain the other way, and you just got to figure out how they're using the landscape. So it's kind of a hard answer or a hard question to answer. But I guess my best answer to that is like I'm definitely going to give an area a morning and an evening before I'm going to crawl over the other side or into another spot and check that. But if I know there's a big deer in there, like let's say I found a deer and I know I've seen him here at least once. Sometimes it's a judgment call, but more often than not, I'm going to sit there for as long as I can to catch him again. And I know he'll be back. If it's a patternable time of year, it's not a migration time of year or rut, I'm going to be sitting there as long as I can until I catch him again. And then I'm going to fill in the pieces of, okay, where was he all those 3 days that I sat there on my butt and didn't see anything? That's when I'm going to start filling in those pieces. But I want to make sure that this wasn't just a fluke thing, right? Like some guy riding a horse didn't just kick a buck into here and I caught him and then he's nowhere to be found again. But if I can catch him twice, okay, then I'll fill in the pieces of where he was the rest of the time.
Makes sense. Another lesson learned here. because I don't think I only said the one, but I just wanted to mention this other one too, because you touched on it a little bit. And I don't even know if I have a question at the end of this, but I think it's just a good little story to bring up for guys to learn. I'm out high country mule deer. I've hunted mule deer with a rifle a couple times, but this was my first high country archery hunt, 13,000 feet. And I was just like a kid in the candy store. I was so excited. So going on my first stalk, I screwed up everything, like so bad. I was hunting with a hunting partner, and I don't know how much you do alone or with a hunting partner, but we said, okay, I had a red bandana. We mapped out the stalk. We saw where the buck was bedded. And I went on the stalk, and the thing was, like, if the buck blows out, my buddy on the spotter was going to wave the red flag. So I go on this stalk, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm living the dream. I'm going to go arrow this buck. Like, this is so badass. Like, and I'm so excited, and like, I don't want to screw it up and all these things. Well, I'm going on this stalk, and I keep looking back at my hunting partner because I'm just like, did he blow out? Did he blow out? Did I screw this up yet? Like, there's no way this is going to happen. Is this going to happen? And I kept looking back, and I got to the point where it was harder to see my hunting partner, and I had to like put my binos on him when I look back at him. Well, he thinks I'm like just being an idiot, like go kill the deer, like stop looking back. So he starts giving me like a thumbs up, like go, like doing this.
Yeah.
And I swore I saw like something red in his hand or something, and I just convinced myself, oh my God, he's waving me off. And I just sat down. I'm like, how did that buck blow out? Like, what's going on? And screwed everything up. The buck actually did end up blowing out, and I saw him run, but way early. Like, I maybe could even got close to him before that happened. Other deer came through and bumped him out. But anyway, point is, I had that wrote down. When you go on the stalk, and like, especially if you're totally out of sight of the buck and like whatever, like go as fast as you can. And you mentioned that, like, don't, like, this isn't the time to screw around. If you can go. And
Yes.
obviously that's like easy to say, like like maybe somebody listening might be like, oh, well, duh. But I don't know. Like, now it's so much more forefront of mind for me. So lesson learned
like,
there.
a deer's ear shot is incredible, but what I always say is, like, when you're out of earshot or eyesight of the buck, cover that country as fast as you absolutely can, and then choose times to slow down. There's times to go slow, there's times to go fast, and most of the time I'm going really fast until I'm in his bedroom, and then I'm like, okay. So like, there has to be a gear that's turned that's like, I'm just this insane athlete, and to like all of a sudden I'm just dancing again, right? Just slow dancing through this country to the buck. And then something you mentioned, like with partners, something we do is we want to keep it simple, right? Like, you got confused, right? Your buddy's giving you the thumbs up, and you're like, oh no, is that good? What's going on? So we keep it simple, man. Like, all right, I know where the buck's at. I'm the guy that's going to go stalk this deer. I know where he's at. I'm going to go to him. I don't care if my buddy necessarily knows every little move I'm going to make. I need to know 2 moves from him. So my spotter gives me a field goal sign. That means everything's normal. Keep doing your thing. Whatever your thing is, everything's normal. And then he gives me the X sign with his arms. If something has changed, come back. That's it. I don't need anything.
I like
so that's
that.
How we
That's the best green light, red light. Yeah.
Yep.
and we talked, like,
we got
after
orange neck gaiters.
Yeah.
We got orange neck gaiters that we'll put on our arms so you can see them really, really well.
Okay. Good tip. And basically on top of all this too, like, I had to make sure, even on the buck I did get, and I was thinking about this too, how tough it would be solo. And I want to ask you too, like, if you've, had this scenario as well. Like, I had the hunting partner there not telling me the deer was blown out, and I still like had to keep convincing myself, because when you're hours into something, like, you just want, like, you can cut the tension with the knife. Like, you just want it to be done and like arrow the buck, but you can't screw it up. So you have to just like keep telling yourself, like, he's still there. Like, he's still there. Like, don't just like run over and cut the last 20 yards like real quick or whatever. Like, he's still there. And then so I had to like consciously do that, knowing that the buck was still there because I had confirmation from my hunting partner. But like I was thinking later on, like, man, if I was solo, like you talk about a mind game where it might be your whole day, like your whole afternoon, like all day, you don't know, but you have to do the whole play telling yourself he's there or you will screw it up. So have you gone on stalks like that solo?
Absolutely. This year was a perfect example of that. Dude, I bedded some deer, and I did start the day with a partner, but my partner got sick, and he's like, man, I can't do it. It was his stock, and he's like, man, I got to go home. Like, and I'm like, are you sure? Like, you can't toughen up for freaking one day? And this guy's the toughest guy I know, you know. So I'm like, holy cow, he's seriously sick. He's like, yeah, I think we'd be better off with somebody that's healthy to go and give this a shot. And so from where I was at, I was a whole nother canyon. I mean, not just a canyon, like I was a whole drainage away, like 2 miles away watching this buck. And I'm like, okay, this is going to take a ridiculous amount of effort and energy, not only to drop, but then to go up the other side and then stalking on this deer. And then I know by the time I get there, it's probably going to be about 2 p.m. and I'm going to have to sit. Again, I've patterned these deer. I know what time that they're feeding out. I'm going to be sitting till, at the earliest, if I'm lucky, they might come up out of their beds around 4:10 and feed for a little bit and then go back into their beds. But more than likely, it's going to be 6:30. So this is what I did. My buddy went off the mountain. I stalked all the way in there, and same thing, man. Like, you're crawling this giant open face. Like, dude, if this is all for naught, and mule deer hunting, big mule deer hunting is the biggest mind game in the world. Like, you have to be so mentally tough to stay in the game. It's ridiculous. And I'm guilty of just, doing the same stuff, man. It's tough. It's so hard to stay in it, but you can't believe the little lies you tell yourself, man. So you just got to go on what you know. And this is where I know the buck was bedded. This is the pattern I believe he's going to use. And sometimes that's all you have. And so that's what I did. I got in there and I stalked in to where I was in bow range if they fed out, and I couldn't see the deer. I knew what trees they were in because it kind of rolled off this hill, and then the strip of trees was down off the hill there in this north shaded awesome stuff. And so I sat above them for 4 hours and 15 minutes. And this is the craziest thing. I heard to my left, the deer were out in front of me, or the bedded bucks were out in front of me. And then to my left, I hear like an elk glunking noise, like, whoa, whoa. And I'm like, what in the world is that? And I waited like another 2 minutes. Whoa, whoa. I'm like, dude, do I got a little raghorn bull like walking into me on my, so I stand up, I grab my bow, and I walk like 10 yards over there, and I'm peeking around these trees. Dude, it was a buck. And
Whoa.
I'd be really curious to hear if anybody has heard this before, but like, I talked to another buddy, Travis, and he was telling me he's heard deer like talk to each other, making noises like that. And sure enough, that buck blew out, and then another one blew out where that noise was. So there was a buck below me that snuck in. I had no idea was there. And then when I was going towards that noise, another buck blew out. So I think they were talking to each other, and they were heading towards the deer that I was stalking. So they were communicating to go to that group of trees and bed with those other bucks. And long story short, the whole thing blew up, the whole mountainside and all that. And
yeah,
it didn't work out, but it was a cool thing to learn, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Well, do you think the fact that blew out deer, that noise, was that a dominance thing, you think? Some sort of whatever he was communicating?
I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.
It's hard to say. The noise that blew him out was definitely just the stotting away and everything taken off. But
yeah.
And I still didn't see those deer take off, so I don't know if they were still bedded there all day. I assume they were. But after that, I was like, I sat down and was like, well, what do I do now? Like, certainly, I'm 40 yards away from those trees, and those deer just stotted away. And, they did the old deer blow. Like, I mean, they didn't not hear that. So I did sneak up to those trees as slow as I could and quiet as I could, and they weren't there. And so the rest of the night, I actually started still hunting down the face through some little pockets that I've seen the deer use. And right at dark, I ran into the target buck looking at me after I put my bow away already. So it almost worked out.
Man.
But
Yeah,
it was a hard lesson to learn for sure.
for sure. Next thing I want to ask you, and I'm asking this selfishly, if you were to explain to somebody kind of like the next level with mule deer hunting, because I've seen some older bucks, especially in Colorado this last year. I was with a hunting partner that had a lot more experience than I did. And there was a few bucks that we saw that were old bucks. It was fun watching deer of all different age classes, basically just, do their deer things. And what, if you could sum up what the difference is between hunting mule deer and then somebody to take that next level step of hunting big mule deer, like how would you sum up, what does it take for that next level? You know what I
Okay.
mean? Because there is a difference, I
Yeah.
feel like, between hunting mule deer and hunting older mule deer.
Yeah. I'm going to give you two answers. One of them's going to be away from the mountain, and the other one's going to be on the mountain. The on the mountain answer is quit shooting little deer. You cannot kill a big deer if you filled your tag on a small buck. And the cool thing about that, I mean, that's an obvious answer, right? But what I learned in that quest, it took me 9 years. There was a day where I said, I am going to be, I just told you, growing up, seeing giant deer and not knowing anybody that killed them, or at least killed them consistently, I said, I am going to be that guy. I'm going to figure that out. I killed one small buck with my cousin in college. He just picked me up, a weekend I didn't have soccer, and we went out and smoked a buck. But beyond that deer, it took me 9 years where I said, I'm not shooting anything unless it's a 200-inch deer or really close. And so that's the obvious answer, man. Like, the cool thing about doing that is you learn so much, right? Like,
yeah.
the deer
you see.
that you're going to learn from 9 years of watching deer. Because instead of going out day one, opening day, and filling your tag, now your hunt's over and you go hunt elk or whatever you end up doing. Go watch football on Sundays. Now you're in the field. So it's an obvious answer, but it's the most important answer. The other thing that I think separates people from just hunting deer versus hunting big deer is consistency. Like, and I'm not saying consistently killing big bucks. That's just a product of consistency. The consistency I'm talking about is like, man, I wake up at 4:45 every morning and go downstairs and lift. I run, and I know you're into running, which I really want to ask you some questions about this too. But
Absolutely.
dude, take care of your body. Like, what goes in, what goes out. Take care of your mind, and it's not just a seasonal thing. It's all year long. You have to be obsessed. Like, you really do. Like, you cannot kill big bucks year after year unless you're obsessed, and not just obsessed with the hunt, obsessed with everything that'll get you to that one moment of pulling a trigger on a big deer. Everything. And it's a lot. And it's what, we talked about. Deer guys are weird, man. But like, that's what it takes. Like, it's just weird nuances. You'll drive everybody around you freaking nuts talking about deer all year long. And we could go into 1,000 things of what I'm talking about, but I mean, just the simple things. Like, it's hard, dude, physically. Take care of your body. It's hard mentally, be of a strong mind, find things that are tough, find things that going into it you're going to fail so that you can learn from them, whether that's an ultra marathon or whatever it could be, reading a book that's, you're just like, man, there's no way I'm going to understand what the crap that means. Like, just go find stuff. That's what's most important, I think, that separates people. Most people I know, even the guys I know that call themselves deer hunters, they're just that. They're deer hunters. They're not so obsessed with it that they're gonna be big deer killers.
Yeah,
So,
dude, you're preaching my language. This kind of talking gets me fired up. And a prime example So I shoot that buck on Saturday, and I don't know. I try to train hard. Like I run a lot with the endurance and like all these things. Dude, packing out that buck, I packed out the whole deer, bone in one trip, and I had like a bunch of other shit on me too. Like I don't like putting numbers out unless like I know, but had so many times like on the way out, like dude, I could do more. Like you know what I mean? Like I try to train and do all these things as hard much as I can. Like it
Mm-hmm.
hurts so bad, and the whole time I'm thinking like I'm gonna make it to this truck. Like I'm just in so much pain, but like I'm gonna do it. It's like the dots I started to connect of like, okay, if you want to get on deer, and again, this was just like a decent buck for where I was at. It still wasn't, crazy big caliber. And I'm not saying that to hedge like I was very happy with my deer. Like I don't want to say the wrong thing, but uh, to get there though, you have to get to where they are. And if you tag a buck, you're by default signing up for this pack out experience. So sometimes like I look and talk to guys, especially from like back east, because that's where I know most people. That's where I'm from, and I'm not saying I have it all figured out as a Western hunter, but when they start talking about chasing mule deer, they want to get a big mule deer and like chasing elk and stuff, and I think you're nailing it because sometimes I'm talking to them, I'm looking at them, and I'm like, dude, I can look at you and I'm telling you 10 things that you got to stop doing right now before you can even think about, going and doing that experience because you can't. I just saw you like start huffing and puffing. We just walked up the stairs at work. Like, you know what I mean? Like just things
Mm-hmm.
like that. And that's just the physical thing. I think the mental thing as well, because I'm sure killing a big deer, I mean, yeah, there's crazy rabbit holes to go down to figure it out, but it's probably just like any other really hard skill to get good at. You just have to get good at failing and keep showing up and learning and pushing through even when you don't want to and being consistent. And I think that's why I'm like drawn to these things because I've started to give myself a little bit of evidence in some crafts like the running that like, oh, that's the key to like get better at something. And I was packing my deer out again, like back to this specifically. So I'm now down on the trail, taking the trail down to the truck the last little bit, and see a couple guys talking to them, and they're like, "Oh, you got one?" I was like, "Yeah," and they were like, "Yeah, we've been out all week. We just seen a couple like does and a couple, small 2 points." And I'm sitting there thinking, like, I'm not gonna tell them where I was, but I was like, "Well, I can tell you right now, dude. It's almost dark, like getting to be dark, in a couple hours, and you're down here, like on the trail. Like
Yeah.
you got to be up there and like out that way. Like I don't know, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just a crazy experience and endeavor, and I don't even know where I was going with all that, but I think you get my point of like
For sure.
it's so much, and sometimes I just want to talk to guys and be like, and I'm not at the level I want to be at, but I talk to other guys. I'm like, oh, dude, you're back there thinking you're gonna get this up here. Like, there's so much more to it. So
Yeah.
if that makes
Yeah,
sense, yeah,
dude.
I'm rambling,
And the
but
funny thing is, like, there are guys that I don't want this all to be about like being in shape. It's extremely important. I'll say that if you're going to backpack hunt and stuff, there are dudes that maybe aren't. They just find a different way to do it. Um,
I know.
but yeah, find something that's hard that you can do all year round. And you're talking about your jogs and stuff, man. Like consistently running is hard. It hurts. Like everything hurts. And I know for me, it's funny. I remember having a conversation with one of my buddies that's like really good at running. I'm like, dude, I wish I was like really good at something like that. Like I just feel like I'm like mediocre at everything. Like I can do everything decently. But then I remembered like, well, what if I just take all these things that I'm mediocre at, and I just like try to perfect them to the best of my abilities? And I feel like that's what most people need to do, right? Like, quit selling yourself short. Like, I'm sorry, but like, dude, I have this hill behind my house that's like just like loose clay. It's basically sand, and it goes from the creek like 100 yards up the hill, and I'll sprint it in the summertime in July. somebody might hear that and be like, oh, that's just Braxton trying to look like he's tough, or, say it on a podcast or whatever. It's like, no, dude, like while I'm sprinting that, I'm doing it because I know September and October is going to suck. And it's going to suck a lot worse than this hill. I can promise you that. And while I'm running, in my head, I'm saying victory is reserved for those who are willing to pay its price. Victory is reserved for those who are willing to pay its price. Like, do stuff like that. It doesn't have to be this dirt hill that you're sprinting up, but like, you have to find something that challenges you and sucks. Like, it's okay to suck. Like, be comfortable with it. Because if you're not, you're going to get off the mountain, like you're saying, way before dark down at the truck, wondering why you didn't fill your tag. It's going to start raining and you're going to be like, well, the deer aren't out anyways. I guess we should sit in the truck and wait for this to blow over. No, it's going to suck. Just let it suck. You're not going to die. Like, you're okay.
So go do things that suck, so you can give yourself evidence that, like, I can do things that suck. So then when you're on the deer hunt and it sucks, it's like, well, I'm somebody that can do things that sucks. I'm going to stay behind the spotter the last 20 minutes.
They still suck. Like,
right. It's not. Yeah, exactly.
In my experience, like, they still suck. Like, it's not fun. Like, I'm getting ready to go on a hunt this weekend that's going to suck. Like, it's going to be cold. It's going to be storming. I'm going to be by myself. I don't I mean, there's some hunts that I enjoy being by myself, but most of the time, like, you can weather the storm when you're with somebody. So, like, it's still going to suck. But I can promise you all of that suck at the end of a tag, when you're punching your tag and you're like holding this big buck, like, it's all worth it. Like, and you're just going to be so proud of yourself. Like, dude, all that crap I did, all that stupid stuff that everybody thought I was losing my mind over, it was way worth it.
And then you think, oh, it wasn't that bad. I'm ready to do it all over again.
Yeah. But after a week, when you can start walking again.
A week. Yep, absolutely. Dude, but this brings me to a post you shared. I think that was the deer this year, and you talked a little bit about, and I feel like when I was reading it, I get why you posted it. Maybe some other guys, I don't know. But you shared how heavy the pack out was and how you put on some muscle and all these things. And I feel like, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, it's like you were sharing there a lot more than I got in shape and I did a heavy pack out. Like, when I read it and what I took, and you do, like, I enjoy your long captions. I think you are a good writer. But when I read that, I thought, yeah, this is way more than about getting in shape. This is way more than a heavy pack out. This is somebody that built their mental throughout the whole year to endure this really hard thing that was basically a prerequisite to get that big buck. And in the price tag of getting that big buck was that pack out. So it's like, it was way more than like, I pucked my buck out and this is how heavy it was. So
I appreciate that you saw that. Thank you. Yeah. Like, I like to set goals for myself every year. Like, okay, well, next year, and I haven't quite set one yet for next year, but usually at the end of a hunting season, I'm setting a goal, and you're not changing my mind. Like, it's just the way I'm wired. Like, I will obsess over stuff like you won't believe. And last year it was like, dude, I've always been like a small guy. Like, I just have. Last year at the end of hunting season, like, I don't think you could find fat on my body. Like, I was 146 pounds at the end of the season. And I remember looking at the scale.
You had some muscle on you, dude. Well, oh no, this was before.
This was before. Yeah.
Okay,
so this was 12 months ago. This was at the end of October of last year. And I remember looking at the scale being like, whoa, like, that's not healthy. I think I could do better, and I'm going to do better. So I spent the rest of the fall. I mean, I'm still now I'm like, here's a goal. I'm going to weigh 180 pounds. At some point this year, I'm going to weigh 180 pounds, and I'm going to come into a deer season seeing if more muscle will help me with the pack out, with just enduring a season, knowing that I'm the kind of guy that just like drops weight super fast. Like, my metabolism is so quick, like, you can't feed me enough. And of course, we don't bring in enough food. So I just decided like I'm gonna hit 180 pounds, whatever it takes. I don't care. Like I'm doing it, and I did. I got to 181, and then the summer. By the time I hit 181, summer scouting started, and I just knew. I'm like, and all this fear like crept in, right? Like I'm like, dude, I just hit this goal, and it's gonna be gone. I know it's gonna be gone. And like summer scouting started, and the weight just started to fall. And I'm like, okay, I need a new goal. Like, if I can finish a hunting season at 165 pounds, like I did it. And I was 163 at the end of, I guess it was last week. I got my all time. So I went up to 181 and I dropped to 163 after all the scouting and hunting and stuff. Yeah, for me, it was just more of just trying something hard. Like yeah, I put on a lot of weight and it was difficult, but it was fun
Yeah,
too.
and a lot of muscle.
A lot of muscle, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's been cool. And this is where I had a question for you. So like you've been trail running
for
you're fairly new at trail running, right? Like a year or something?
No, a few years. Like I didn't grow
Okay.
up doing it. I didn't grow up running or anything like at all.
Because I
But
saw a
my
post
first
where you said
ultra.
like you said you never thought you'd be the guy that would run a 100-mile race, right? Something like that.
Correct. No, correct. I ran my first trail race in 3 years ago, and that wasn't even an ultra. It was a 25K, and then my first ultra was 2 years ago. Wow, really? Yeah, yeah. That was a
Nice.
50K. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Cool.
still, I feel like I'm new. Yeah.
Cool.
And
So for
then now
years,
going for 100 miles.
so I've always lifted weights, but for years, like kind of my thing that I'll prep for hunting is running. Um, used to have pack goats. Like I'd be the guy running around the neighborhood with a bunch of goats following me, like getting the goats in shape too. Like, so I jog all the time.
Okay.
And one year, my buddy was prepping for a long trail run, and he gave me his workout plan, and I just did the same workout plan as him, but I never did the trail run. But um, I feel like that year I was in excellent lung condition and like flexibility, maybe. Like I felt really good, and then, but I didn't feel like I had the strength. Like, do you feel that? Like, or are you able to keep your strength and your like conditioning? Are you able to find that happy medium? Like this year, I cut cardio out. Like that's how I was able to put on so much weight. I completely cut cardio out until it was end of July, August. That's when I started doing the hill sprints. But I felt way stronger, and I'm having a hard time deciding like which one was better. So I'm curious, like, where are you at on that?
Yeah. So, and everything I'm about to say here, it's not me just like, I feel like a lot of guys give, and it could be good advice for fitness and all these things, but I'm always just like, okay, what are you gauging that off of? Like what numbers? Like what does this mean? So I track my lifts. So that's how I can measure like if we're looking at strength versus cardio. Um, like I'll track my lifts and always make sure I track the heavy compound movements like the squat, deadlift, and bench and things like that. And I've noticed when I get into higher mileage weeks, which every year the last few years has been a different range of miles. It used to be just like, well, when I started running, like consistently 4 years ago, like if I ran 20 miles in a week, I'd be dead. Like that was a huge deal. But it seems like every year I can do a little bit more miles per week and still increase strength. Now, it's not at a fast rate as if I cut cardio completely out and I could just keep putting on weight, putting on weight, putting on weight. But I'm fine with that. So I find this like happy medium. And again, this is me just like learning my body and tracking, and all my runs I have tracked. And I just know just from the races I'm doing. And that's what marathons are fun too, because a marathon, it's like every race is pretty much the same. Like a trail race you could be in a mountain or you could be a desert. So it's like, it's hard to like gauge to each other, but I always try to do a marathon or two every year. And I feel that's a good measure of like where I'm at. So every year I've been increasing endurance, getting faster in the marathon. And I try to make sure at the end of the year that I'm looking back on my end of years lifts, and they're still increasing. So the best way to do this though is like things have to be in seasons. So like when I'm training for so I PR'd a marathon at 2:48. which is a 6-minute, 25-second mile. I was in a training block where like, no, my bench and deadlifts and things were not increasing. You just start asking too much of your body. And over the years, I've been able to like push that threshold to a certain point. But when I get to like 70, 80, 90 miles a week running for a marathon, that's where the strength starts to go. And like, it's an ego check because it's like, I just want to rep 225 on the bench. Like, and I just can't, like, I just can't do it. So things start to go down. But when I start pulling back the mileages, like I'm doing right now, trying to put on some strength back, I'm about to be where I was last year at this time, but I'm really going to focus the last couple months and I'll try to make sure I PR all of that. So point is, you got to learn your body. You got to find like what's happy for you. It seems like, and I think that's what got the hybrid athlete trend really popular. I think they're finding that like, no, you can actually increase your endurance and strength together a little bit. And as you go down the path of each one, what you can do for both at the same time, you can still increase, but you're never going to be like, I could be a way better runner if I just quit bench pressing and like throwing weights around at the gym, but I don't want to do that. Same vice versa. But that's what I found is the best thing. I try to look at the whole year in like a 3-month season where it's like, this is what I'm focusing on and I'm increasing here, pulling back here. And then same thing for the next quarter, essentially. And then at the end of the year, the last quarter is way more on strength, a little less on running, to where at the end of the year, I can look back. I have these like measurables, like my marathon PR time that I'm going to try to beat next year. So it's like, okay, I got that this year and I want to end the year with my strength PRs. And then, again, those will fall as I go into a big running block next year. But I just look at things for the whole year and then break things up into seasons. I rambled way more than I thought, but
so
that's
why do you do
what I
that?
found.
Why are you running lifting? Like, what's the main goal there? Is it for hunting, or is it just something you love and you've always done?
So I've been running more because I've started to fall more in love with running and these huge ultra races, and I just love that community and love the sport. But I'm never gonna. I try to still make sure I'm lifting for specifically hunting, like for that pack out, for example. So I do say I wish I would have focused more on my strength focused like season earlier, because I felt like my legs at a given time in the year could have been stronger for that pack out, and I probably didn't need all the endurance that I had. But again, it's catch-22 because I definitely had times chasing elk in September where I'm like, I'm so happy I'm in the endurance shape that I'm in. So that's why I do both. I definitely feel like I run way too much that I say would recommend is like what you need to do for hunting, but that's just because I love running.
Sure.
But it's hard for me to give advice because this is like the balance that works for me. And at the end of the day, I got to my bucks and I got them packed out. So it's like,
yeah, I just like got it in my head that like I wanted to bench press 3 wheels. So I was
okay.
like, I'm just gonna do it. And I ended up getting 325 was the highest I got, and I was just like, never in my life would I ever think that I'd be able to do that. But that was kind of fun too. So yeah, I definitely like lost some cardio in those endeavors this year, but I'd say at the end of the day it worked out pretty well. So anyways, didn't mean to hijack about
No, you're good. I think endurance though, it's just like when you're lifting at the gym, you take like for whatever reason you have a month or two where you're just lazy, but then you come back, you get real sore and it's like tough for like a couple weeks, but that muscle memory, I think it's the same thing with endurance.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's what's cool. Yeah, that's a whole other podcast, but that's what I like. If your goal is to like hit, 315 on bench, fastest way to get there, don't run so much. Same thing if like you want to get a PR and a half marathon, you got to pull back from the heavy weights. But what's cool is you can increase steadily on both. It's just gonna look different for everybody depending on where you're at and where you start.
No, thanks.
Yeah.
That gives me some good ideas. So
Last thing I wanted to wrap up here. I wanted to mention another post. This is something that, and I'm putting you on the spot. I don't care.
excellent.
This was a caption you wrote. Yep. From a post you had back in July. And these are the things I like to share, on the podcast. I really like the mindset here. And I want you to kind of maybe elaborate on this a little bit. So it's a picture of a velvet muley that you arrowed, stud buck, and the caption is, "It's you versus you. Victory is reserved for those who are willing to pay its price. There is no season. The path to victory never stops. It never settles and is never pushed aside. Growth requires constant pressure. You must break down and refuel over and over again. Reaching goals requires vision. The vision cannot be shrunk because someone else can't catch up. Move or be moved aside. Do not accept mediocrity. It's why those who do always lose. Become an optimist because positivity will always delete the negative within." So I love that, dude. I really love the do not accept mediocrity. I want you to take it away, though. Like, what was going through your mind when you wrote that? And is that something that you think about a lot?
Yeah, I think, again, like I told you, like the consistency is throughout the year. So I think it's funny. Like sometimes I'll even look back at my posts and I'll find where it's like, oh, in that moment, I must have been thinking about this. But like through the year, I'll be training for something. And like this just shows like how much it's on my mind. I mean, this is what was it, July something?
July
For
1st.
me, it's like I truly think the hardest thing with big mule deer hunting is mentality. And I was telling you that story about like my friend telling him like, man, I'm kind of like just mediocre at everything, like, which is cool, right? Like that's good that I'm decent at everything, but it's hard to win when you're just mediocre. Like those who accept mediocrity always lose. Like, why would I accept that? Like we're all so capable of anything we put our mind to. Like, I refuse to accept mediocrity anymore. Like, dude, I'm kind of debating on telling you this story, but I'll go for it.
Go for it.
When I was a little kid, I was a really good wrestler. And David Taylor, if anyone knows who David Taylor is, he's pretty much the best wrestler in the world. He's awesome. He lived in my hometown, and him and I used to wrestle all the time. Same age as me. And David would even tell you, he's probably not going to hear this, but I used to whoop up on him. And not stealing any of his glory, man, because the guy has just off the charts. We could look up, I mean, he's a gold medalist, Olympic gold medalist. But the guys just went sky high, right? And I gave up on wrestling. I pursued other stuff as I started to get older. And I remember one time I had a friend that was a cyclist, and he got accepted in high school. He got accepted to a pro cycling team in Salt Lake. And I remember I was like 18 or 17 or 18. Me and my dad were working outside in the yard. I'm like, yeah, you know, my buddy Tyler just got accepted to this pro cycling team. And my dad's like, oh, cool. And I told him, I was like, man, I wish I was good at something, like that good at something. And I'll never forget, he dropped the shovel and he looked me dead in the eyes and he's like, you were. And then he picked the shovel back up. And like from that moment on, like it's just been something that stuck with me. Like, why would I accept just being mediocre at something if like I have it within me to be great at something? So that's kind of where that came from. Those who accept mediocrity always lose. What else was in there?
Gosh, that's powerful right there. I mean, I know that's not an easy thing to tell, but I think you can see that how that stuck with you, and it doesn't really matter if people think that that's, you know, if that sticking with you is, I don't know, healthy or whatever, but at the end of the day, it's true. And that's what's so hard sometimes is like, because for me, relating to that expression is like, I've had people tell me, and I'm not saying that I'm a winner and have it all figured out, but I like to go and do shit. I moved across the country and like, I like to run crazy races and, you know, live out of a tent and like just do shit. And constantly I'm told like, you know, like slow down, like, you know, you don't have to do all these things, like whatever. And these are things I've shared on the podcast too, but it's like, well, I don't know. Like, if you want to do big shit, you can't take that advice. And what's hard is like those are people that care for you, but like winning doesn't care, you know? And if your winning is killing big mule deer, you have to be obsessed. It doesn't care. Like you can't hike the trail at the bottom. with everybody else. You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm putting to it. It's you can't be mediocre. You can't just be a deer hunter if you want to be a big deer hunter. And there you go. Put that on a t-shirt.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, dude, it never stops. You just got to keep pushing. And I'm still not there, dude. Yeah, like it's great, like killing big bucks, and I'm having a blast. Doing well at it, and it's fun, but like the path to victory never stops. Like growth requires constant pressure. And why would I create a finish line? You know what I mean? There is no finish line. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Dude, you got me fired up. I could go all night. It's the chase, and that's why we're doing it, right? It's
for sure.
Dude, as soon as you kill the big buck, you might take a second and be like, this is awesome. Already thinking about next year. Same thing with, the races I do, all the shit. So
yeah,
that's what it's all about.
It's definitely a mindset, man. Winner mindset, always, no matter what it is.
Yep. Always. All right, dude. I've taken so much of your time. I really appreciate you hopping on. I enjoyed the chat, and these are the good conversations I like to have. And I think these can really help guys. Like we talked about some mule deer tactics and stuff, but the last 20 minutes there, just the mindset and the motivation guys can maybe get from that. I think that can really help motivate you to then go learn the tactics, go do the thing. You know what I mean? Like that's what you need is a little bit of the activation energy. So I just can't thank you enough for hopping on and chopping it up. This was awesome.
Yeah, Weston, thanks for having me. Yeah, sorry you asked me a little earlier this year, and I told you I was too focused on hunting, man. I wasn't ready to talk to you about it, but we kind of explained some of that stuff. Like I just get in the groove and just get my mind right, and I'm just not. If I'm not talking to people, there's a reason. It's because I'm focused on something. So, but thanks for having me on. Now, appreciate it. It's fun for sure.
Yeah, I love it, dude. Dude, I never give anybody a hard time that would respond like that, or even they don't get back to me or something. I'm like, good, you're busy. You should be busy. You should be focused. That's fine. We can do this shit later. Like, it's all good, dude. I love it.
No, I had a blast. Thanks, Weston.
All right, man. I'll let you go. Good luck. Still with the Idaho tag, right?
For sure.
Okay. So good luck, man. Keep in touch. And everybody, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one. All right. See you, dude.
See you, man.
Hey, if you liked that episode, please share it with a friend, share it on your story, and give the podcast a rating and a review on wherever you listen. For more of this type of content, you can head over to the YouTube channel and follow along on all the social platforms. Really appreciate it. See you on the mountain.